Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. If you love anime, heartfelt reactions, and deep dives into symbolism and themes, then you're in the right place. Before we jump into today's reaction, don't forget to hit that like button to show some love, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of fun. And if you want even more exclusive content like early access to my reactions, full length anime watch alongs, and an amazing community of fellow anime lovers, please do check out my Patreon. You can find a link in the description box below. Your support truly means the world as it helps to keep these reactions coming, and I'd love to have you join our cozy little anime family. Today, we are reacting to the finale of Attack on Titan. Without further ado, we're going to jump into chapter 2. And I'm very scared because chapter 1 was horrendous. We lost Hanji, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming, and I was absolutely gutted, and now I'm scared. I'm very scared for what is going to happen in chapter 2 and chapter 3 because it's only going to get worse from here because it's the finale. I'm scared. I'm really scared because we're picking up from losing Hanji as well. Hanji became commander when Erwin died, and now Armin with Hanji dying. Or he'll die trying. Hanji saw the good in him when everyone else doubted.
要はバカでかい骨の塊が動いてる。虫みてえにな。
普通に考えるなら頭部のうなじに本体はいるけど。
潜水と同じ手がある限り絶対じゃねえ。
つまりエレンがどこにいるかわからない。
Oh wow, because it doesn't function like a normal Titan.
まとめて吹き飛ばすことはできる。あなたがレベリオ軍港を跡形もなくしたように。あなたの超大型巨人なら。
He doesn't want to do it.
でもそれはエレンとの対話を尽くしてから。
I was going to say, he's going to want to speak to him first.
最終手段だ。
ジークは俺が仕留める。
He made a promise to Erwin.
力を貸してくれ。無意味な殺戮にするわけにはいきません。すべては地ならしを止めるため、俺は何だってやります。ああ、サムエルとダツを撃ち殺して、知ってる顔をめちゃくちゃに切り刻んだ。裏切り者って言われながら、世界を救うためだって言い聞かせて。
Just like Reiner.
お前もベルトルトも兄も辛かったよな。
He can finally understand what it was like for them.
贖うこともできない罪だ。残りの人類を救ったって一生自分を許すことはないだろう。
None of them can, but there's no such thing as good people. Just people living with the choices they've made.
ま、せめて残りの人類を救おうぜ。
Oh, Reiner.
そうだな、ライナー。
He's taking on that big brother role that he had in series 2.
やるしかねえよな。
So good to see them back together. Even if this may be the last time that they're back together. Eren said the same thing. As Armin said, there's no such things as good people. Just people.
俺はエレンの考えてることが少しわかる気がする。エレンは俺たちに止めてほしいんじゃないのか。
I said this!
あ、いや、そう思うってだけなんだが。
I said this back at the beginning of series 4!
エレンはすべての巨人とエルディア人に影響を与えることができる。なのに僕らは変わりなく巨人の力を使えるままだ。
I literally fucking said this. I said that this feels like Eren having no other choice but to fulfill what he's been told. Thus, the only thing that he can influence is his friends to stop him. because he knows that this is fated to happen. Whatever direction he goes in, it leads to rumbling. So he knows that this is going to happen, that it's inevitable, that nothing he can do will change it, because his reaction to Hannes's death and Sasha's death made it look like that he already knew their deaths were going to happen, that he potentially hoped it wouldn't happen or tried to prevent it from happening, but nonetheless, the deaths happened anyway, which is why he laughed. He laughed at the futility that no matter what he does, what he tries, what he attempts, the people he loves and cares about dies. He knows that regardless of what's happening, this is fated to happen. I know he said in chapter 1 to the young boy, I've already forgot his name, which is awful considering he was so sweet and so cute, but I've forgotten his name. He said to him, I wanted it to happen. I wanted to do the rumbling because the world wasn't uninhibited as I thought it to be. The world wasn't this empty, vast landscape for me to explore. It was occupied. But I just don't fully believe that that's Aaron's actual perspective. I think potentially that could influence his perspective of the world. I think potentially that is a motivation, but it just didn't feel like the conviction was behind the words. It didn't feel like there was weight behind the words. It was almost like he's telling himself that's what he wants, but doesn't quite believe it. Just like Grisha was influenced by Eren in the future, I feel as if Eren from a young age has been influenced by his older self. And then that's when you sort of have to weigh up how much of this is Eren's choice, Eren as we know it from the first episode in series 1, how much of that is his choice and how much of it is the future Eren, the memories being sent back to him, have influenced his direction, have coerced him into doing this, because no matter how many times he tries to fight back against his future self, this is what it inevitably leads to. There's no other option. There's no other choice, right? So it very much feels as if Eren that we had in series 1 right up to now is haunted by his future self, knows what his future self is going to do, tries to fight back against that, and finds that no matter what he does, he can't prevent what happens. He tries, he can't prevent it, so he accepts that this is what's going to happen and that the only way to stop him is his friends. I said this at the beginning of series 4. It felt like he was pushing his friends away to turn them against him so they would see him as the enemy, so they would take him down to stop the rumbling and save humanity and give their hearts to humanity and establish some aspect of peace, because we know that peace isn't going to be established because it's been driven home. Whether Titans or people, there will always be a justification or a reason for violence. So we know that whether the Titans are erased or not, there is always going to be a justification to target them, to attack them, but not just them, to attack other people too. Because Marley hasn't just had a war with those in Paradise. They've had wars with other countries too, and other countries have been fighting each other as well. Violence isn't inherent to the Aldians and the Marlians. It's inherent to everyone as people. We all have a monster within us. But I digress. It feels as if Eren wants them to protect humanity by stopping him, to give this impression that they're not monsters after all, that they can live side by side with the rest of the world, and that the narrative is wrong. Even if that only establishes peace for a short time, it's still worth dying for, to give his friends the long lives that he's told them he wants them to have. He didn't want any of them to inherit the Titans because he wanted them to live long and fruitful lives. I've said this since the beginning of series fucking 4. I've said this. It just feels right that Eren's actions are to protect his friends, but to also erase the narrative of subjects of Ymir being monsters, because they're not monsters. They're dying and risking their lives to protect the rest of the world that was trying to kill them, trying to wipe them out. Monsters wouldn't do that, but humans would, and they are humans. It doesn't matter that they can turn into titans. They are still people at the end of the day that know that genocide is wrong and are willing to give their hearts to save humanity. Not just their people, but the people of the world. And I fucking said it from the beginning of series 4 that Eren is pulling away from them because he wants them to fight him. He wants them to take him down because they are the only people that can take him down. And he knows that they are the only ones that could put a stop to him. He knows that. Hence why he's been so weird with them, so off with them, hasn't been telling them things, has been pushing them away. He wants them to see him as the enemy because it makes it easier for them to kill him and establish peace or relative peace and at least live long and happy lives without being dragged into his mess. Hands down, he would sacrifice himself for them. And that's what I think he is attempting to do. Again, I think you could argue it from two perspectives, that Eren wanted to do the rumbling because he is selfish, that the rumbling is because the world wasn't like the storybooks that him and Armin read as children, that the world wasn't uninhabited. He wanted to erase everyone in it so that he could then pursue the final act of freedom, in that he has this whole world and land to explore with no one else encroaching upon it. I think you could argue that. Yes, he looks at the storybooks. Yes, he believes in the idea of freedom and pushes and moves forward towards that goal. But I don't think that's the only reason why. I think he knows that he has no other choice, that the rumbling is always going to happen, regardless of how much he tries to change the future, nothing changes. And that means Eren in the present comes to accept that that's what's going to happen. But in order to stop his future self succeeding, he has to make his friends turn against him. And that's what he's doing. So future Eren is kind of removed from present Eren, because future Eren is the one that's influencing him, in my mind, has, you know, sent memories back to lead him to this point, to lead him to the rumbling. But Eren doesn't want to do that. Present Eren, younger Eren, doesn't want to, and he's trying to fight against it, fight back against it. But regardless of whichever way he looks at it, he's forced into doing it because he doesn't see any other option, doesn't see any other choice. And then what ends up happening is that he pushes his friends into fighting against him, turning against him, because they are the only ones that could put an end to him. I did write down some theories. I will get back into the episode, I promise. But I did write down some thoughts. And some of the thoughts I had was that Eren really does act as if he's accepted that this is his fate. The language he uses always toys with this idea of wanting to defy, but knowing that no matter what he does, this is always going to happen. So, as I mentioned, like how he laughs at Hannes and Sasha's death, it's the futility of trying to save and protect people and to think that he can make a difference when he knows that all he causes is pain and suffering, that this is what he's destined to do and inflict. But he's upset and torn about it. I still believe that he's trying to defy in his own way by pushing the others away and withholding the information so they can turn against him and bring him down, because he knows that's the only way forward. It's very much fated to happen, or so it appears, no matter how much Eren tries to reject that. And again, I can see it from the perspective of people saying, but Eren wanted this to happen because he wanted to wipe out the world for his own selfish agenda. And I do think that forms a basis of Eren as a character, but I don't think that's the full story. Eren is very complex. I think we have to look at it as Eren being torn between this is fated to happen and I'm choosing this to happen, between choice and fate, essentially. I feel like future Eren is fate, that this is what's going to happen and this is what you're going to do to ensure that it happens. And present Eren that we've been with since series 1 up until the beginning of series 4 is choice. That's him trying to defy it. And what we end up then is the amalgamation of present Eren and future Eren into one. I know that they're the same person, but obviously future Eren can transmit memories to present Eren, which is what I believe now happened at the beginning of the episode. I think he received memories from Ymir, but also received memories from his future self as well. And that's coalesced into his brain. So he's received memories from Ymir and he's received memories from his future self. And present Eren has been trying to fight back against what he believes is fated to happen because it's what his future self has shown him. But he accepts that he has no other choice. Everything he's seen happen, he's already seen because the future has shown him that. His future self has shown him Hannes die, shown him Sasha dying, shown him his mother dying because he saw his mother die. So his future self has shown him all of this. So he knows that, well, I've already seen this. So I know that this is my fate. I'm destined to do this. But yet you still see him trying to fight back against it, trying to walk away from the direction he knows he's going to be forced to go into. He tries to walk away from that young boy. He doesn't want to rescue him because he knows in the future he does rescue him, but he also dies in the rumbling. He tries to walk away from him, but he can't. He has to go through the motions, essentially, of what he's already seen happen. He can't defy it. It's almost like it's fated to happen. No matter how many times he tries to pull away, he can't prevent himself from actually going ahead with what he's seen. I just think Eren is complex. I don't think we can solely say that he's doing this because he wants to do this. I think we can see it as one part of him wants to do this for selfish agenda, and the other part of him is trying to defy that aspect of his personality, is trying to fight against it. Eren's almost split into two different people. One with a selfish motivation to wipe out the world for his own exploration and freedom, and the other is desperately trying to make sure that his friends are safe and protected, but at the same time can only ensure that by sacrificing himself, and that the rumbling is the only extreme way of getting them to see him as the enemy, enough so that they'll put a stop to him. So I don't think there's anything that Eren can do to prevent what is happening. He already knows that this is going to happen. So when Mikasa says, what if I had told him we were more than family, would that have stopped anything? And it wouldn't have. I think Eren already knew what that answer was going to be, what Mikasa was going to say, because he's seen it before. He knew this was going to happen, and everything has been set in motion to push him in this direction to fulfill what needs to be done. But he's attempting to defy that by trying to change the course, but is inevitably thrust back into it time and time again, to the point that he's just accepted that there's no other choice. But the people that can save him are his friends, and that's his act of defiance against the inevitable destruction of the world. I might be giving Eren too much credit, but it always feels like there's two Erens. The Eren from the future who's forcing this to happen, and the Eren in the present that doesn't want to do this because he doesn't fully believe in it. Much like Grisha being coerced into killing the children, it's almost like Eren is being coerced by his future self throughout his entire journey. Of course, no one confirmed this to me, no one agreed with me or whatever, but it feels like our Eren is fighting in his own way against the future that future Eren wants, but is still forced to go through the emotions. And I have said this for a while now, that it feels like there's two people and they're conflicting within each other. And that's what it feels like when you look at Eren in series 4, that it's not just one Eren, but another Eren as well. And the two Erens are fighting against one another. And I mean that metaphorically, in terms of, we obviously now have the Eren that's in the future in series 4, but series 4 Eren felt very different to the Eren we had from series 1 to series 3. And you can see it in his eyes. He's exhausted, he's dejected, he's accepted that this is what's inevitable, this is what's going to happen, and can't seem to find any other way out. But again, I think his friends are his act of defiance. That's my belief. That was long-winded, I'm sorry.
自由にやらせてる。まるで僕たちがどうするのかを試すみたいに。
どうして地ならしを止められるかも
I
しれ
think
ない
that's what he wants.
あいつだって辛いはずなんだ。人類虐殺なんてとても耐えられることじゃない。 俺だったらもう始祖の力を誰かに任せてしまいたい。それができなければ終わりにしてほしい。
To kill me.
誰かに。
He wants to die. He wants to give himself
またかよ。これは
up so that his friends can live.
それほどの恐怖と破壊の限りが尽くされた。今なら不可侵条約を結んで終わりにできる。これ以上誰も殺さなくていい。僕たちが悪かった。エレンをここまで追い込んだのは僕らだ。
エレン、あとは俺たちで何とかするから。もう俺たちのために虐殺なんてやらなくていい。
エレン、サシャのことでお前を憎んだけど、本当はお前だって悲しかったんだよな。なのにちっともお前の立場になろうともしなかった。
It's heart-wrenching seeing them beg and plead to him.
私はあなたの罪を一緒に背負いたい。あなたと同じ罪が私たちにもある。だからもう私たちを遠ざけないで。だからお願い、帰ってきて。
今ならケツに蹴り入れるだけで勘弁してやる。
Just a single swift kick.
なんとか言ったらどうなんだ。
地ならしは止まらない。パラディ島の未来を運に任せて放棄することもない。
Emir. Oh, little Eren.
エレンが信用できねってるか。
どうして僕らが巨人の力を使えるままにしたんだ。話してくれよ。僕らはずっと一緒だ。もうこれ以上遠くへ行かない。
Oh, I said in series 2 that he was gonna pull
俺は
away from
自由を
them.
手に入れるため世界から自由を奪う。だがお前らからは何も奪わない。
They're his precious
お前た
comrades.
ちは自由だ。お前らが世界の自由を守るのも自由。俺たちがやることはただ一つ。戦え。
そんな。
He's telling them to fight
な
him
んで僕らをここに呼んだんだよ。
so that you come to accept that there's no other option.
話すため。
There's no discussion. You have to
俺
fight
を止め
him.
たいのなら俺の息の根を止めてみろ。お前らは自由だ。
どうやら俺の予想は当たったようだ。どうしてもダメなのか。
No, he's telling you that that's the only way is for him to die. Eren's gonna sacrifice himself, I think, for them to live a long life and to be free, truly free, without the threat of Eren and the founding Titan.
ジークとエレンを結びつけたのは私です。この大殺戮を招いた罪をあがなう術など存在し得ないでしょう。
None of them can atone, though.
じゃあもしまたやり直せるならエルディア人に干渉せずパラディ島を見殺しにする。
Annie can't atone for what she did to get home to her dad. None of them can atone for it, truly.
後悔が
They can just learn to live with it.
エルディア人の生きる道を
Shoulder the
私は
sin.
全てを尽くして模索したとは言えません。どうして失う前に気づけないものでしょうか。ただ損も得もなく他者を尊ぶ気持ちに。
Because humans are inherently selfish.
遅い。アニさん、俺夢を見たんです。
Eren,
ガリアードの
no.
ジークさんの夢、
Oh!
記憶です。
確か女型の巨人は他の巨人の一部を取り入れることでその能力が発現するんでしたよね。まあ女型は特に発現しやすいから
Zeke?
いろいろ飲まされたけどそれがな。
Okay, weird.
やっぱりだ。じゃあ
じゃあもしかしたらなんとかなるかも。
いやでもまさか本当に。
うるさいガキでもジークの記憶を見たって言った。
Yeah, that's weird.
はい。僕はジークさんの
Oh,
脊髄液で
yeah.
巨人になりました。
I forgot about that.
獣の巨人の特徴が発現してるみたいなんです。
一番よく見る記憶は雲の上を飛んでいた記憶です。
He's a titan that can fly.
それが僕にもできる。そんな感じがするんです。
And this all links back to when he's lay on the battlefield in episode 1 of series 4. I thought it was in relation to Eren attacking Labario, but no, he's a Titan that can fly. So this was foreshadowing for Falco becoming a flying Titan. What? They joked about a flying Titans as well back at the beginning of series 4.
本当に飛行船はあるのか
And now we're about to get one.
あの岩山を登らなきゃわからない。
And he's dead!
本当に飛行船を奪って逃げられると思ってるのかお前らエルディア人。
They escaped!
口に気をつけろよ、マーレ人。お前がまだ踏み潰されてないのは誰のおかげだ。お前が裏切っても撃たれて死ぬ。家族全員で生き残るにはこれしかない。望みが低かろうと関係ない。
And his dad survived! Reiner's mom as well!
大丈夫だよ、ブラ
Gabby's
あ
parents!
の子たちは強い。きっとコルトとライナーと一緒に
And Falco's!
悪魔の島にいるんだろ。とても生きていけるわけがない。
She's alive! But they don't know that. But they're alive.
フィンガーさん、その腕章、窓から捨てろよ。
これは娘が
Geek's
俺
dad
なんかのため
too.
に全てを犠牲にして得た腕章だぞ。
Oh, I hope they get reunited. I hope they get reunited. Please let them live.
おい、なんだあの煙。シナラシ
No.
だ。ついに追いつかれた。
Oh, God. Eren.
ダメだ。一機も残ってない。
そんな、ここまで来たって。なんで、もう終わりだ。
あの飛行船、巨人道に向かっていくぞ。
どういうことだ。
爆撃だよ。巨人の手が届かない空から吹っ飛ばすんだ。
It's not gonna work,
全ての
though.
命運をかけるつもりだ。
They can take some of the Titans out, but
爆撃だって。俺たち助かるのか。
no.
ここが人類に残された最後の砦となる。
They're willing to give it their all, sacrifice themselves.
送人の仕掛かる重圧は計り知れない。だが結果がどうであろうと決して諸君らだけの責任ではない。この責任は我々すべての大人たちにある。憎しみを利用し憎しみを育み続け憎しみに救いがあると信じ我々が至らぬ問題のすべてを
Why is it taken till now
その結果
for them to fully
我々が与え続けてきた
recognize what they've done?
もしも再び未来を見ることが叶うなら二度と同じ過ちは犯さないと私は誓う。
This is what I mean. There's a chance for people to atone and learn from the mistakes. Oh, Reiner. And she regrets it all because she feels like she used her son, and in a way she did.
あの子はずっと復讐の道具にまだ母親らしいこと何も
皆もどうか誓ってほしい。
Never again.
憎しみ合う時代との決別を
Become joined as one in your fight for humanity's safety.
互いを思いやる世界の幕開けをここで私たちの怪物との別れを
Eren's bringing the world together. I said this again at the beginning of Series 4. Eren's act would bring humanity together, bring the world together against him, including Paradise. God, the animation is stunning. That's where Zeke is. God. You know when you hook a toy on an arcade machine? That's Zeke just dangling there.
光線大全滅しました。
That's not Zeke. It's Eren controlling Zeke.
罪のない子供たちよ。
ねえ、お母さん。巨人がこっちに来るよ。
Oh, she looks like Faye. Gracious little sister.
きっと兄もライナーもパラディ島で生きている。
Oh, please let them get reunited. Please. I'm gonna sob if they were so close to being reunited with their families and they die.
あれなんだろう。
They've caught up. They've caught up.
燃料が見えた。飛び降りる準備を。おぎゃこぼんお前も来い。まだだ。その真裏で舵を取る。
Oh no. He said he would get them there at any cost. He's gonna die.
嫌がるな。獣のクソ野郎が。
探す手間が省けた。攻撃目標獣の巨人地ならしを食い止める。
Fucking hell. God, he's being puppeteered. He looks like the War Hammer Titan. Oh my God, the music. If we lose Reiner and Peak, I'm gonna scream. But I have a feeling we might lose Reiner based on his mom having those flashbacks to him as a baby and feeling guilt.
鎧の巨人に車力の巨人まで。
あれは立体起動装置。まさかパラディ島勢力が地ならし
They did. Oh, please don't tell me she's gonna see Reiner die.
もう一度質問させてくれ。君のどこが自由なのかって。そこから引きずり出した後。
He's not free. He's a slave to freedom. He always has been. That's the issue. And he knows that. He's never ever truly been free. And I think that's part of why he wants his friends to stop him, because he knows that he will do whatever he can to ensure that he achieves his goal of freedom, that he brings an end to the world if it ensures freedom, because he's that entrenched in the ideology of it that nothing will stop him. He'll flatten the world if it means freedom. He'll kill every last person in the world if it means freedom. And he knows that the only way to prevent that is for him to die, is to sacrifice himself so that the rest of the world can be free. And that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to give his friends the chance to take him down, hence why he's not preventing their abilities. And he's phrasing it as, if you won't side with me, then we have no other option but to fight. And that's because he knows it's the only way to stop the rumbling. He knows it's the only way to stop it. There is no other option. His friends have to kill him. And he's willing to lay down his life if it means establishing freedom and unity in some semblance of normalcy. It's just heart-wrenching to see them say that we need to be better. We need to promise that we will never do this again if we survive. Our hatred has led to this moment. This is our hatred coming back onto us because this is the monster that we've created. Our prejudice, our oppression, our hatred of those that are different from us has manifested in a retaliation that we never could have truly fathomed the magnitude of. and we need to ensure that this never happens again, that we never allow this to happen again. Why do I feel like those words are going to be really bittersweet, and that potentially, despite the intentions, people in the future will forget that and turn on each other again? Because it seems to be that we always say never again and we mean it, and then we somehow overlook it when it suits us. We turn away when it suits us. And I'm worried that that's what we're going to see here, that we are going to see them decide that greed is more important than what connects us as people. It's just so poetic as it goes back to the words of, why does it take until we've suffered and lost for us to realize that we could have done more, we could have been better, that we could have changed things, that we didn't do everything we could have done to prevent this? Why do we have to lose something for us to gain perspective? And I think because it opens our eyes to just how valuable human life is and how precious it is. And I think Eren, on some level, does understand that. I think he's a slave to freedom. He's never been free. He's always been a slave himself. He's defying in his own way, and that's by allowing his friends to be the heroes, by taking him out and saving the world and establishing that Paradise are not the monsters that everyone expected them to be, that they fought side by side in humanity's time of need to protect them despite the hatred, despite the oppression, despite the threat of genocide. They stood for what they believed in, and they stood for what is right. This episode was drumming home the themes of loss and connection and atonement, of learning that keeping two eyes on the past makes you blind and leads to nothing more than the repetition of violence, the repetition of the mistakes of the past. And we're seeing that come full circle. And they're coming to that perspective of, we need to be better, not just for the future, but for the children as well. It is the children that are going to suffer for the foolishness of the adults, because we have bred hatred, we have sowed discontent. But yeah, it's just so poetic and so relevant to today's society, that we are so compelled to hate others because they're different, without ever taking a moment to look at how similar we actually are, to look at what connects us rather than what distinguishes us. And that's what leads to acts of violence and hatred and war, is because we're not willing to accept that other people feel the same as we do. They love the same way that we do, that they bleed the same way that we do. We're so wrapped up in this idea that we are somehow superior than others because of maybe race, religion, because of our ethnicity, that we don't look at what unites us, which is the fact that we're all born into this world, therefore we are all special. Using Eren's words exactly, we are special because we're born into this world, and that goes for everybody. Doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter their sexuality, their ethnicity, their skin color, their religion. We're all special because we're born into this world. And I think the message of the show is showing that if more people sat down and talked, if they were willing to accept the mistakes of the past and look for a way forward, then the world could be a better place. But I think Isayama is also aware of just how susceptible people are to hatred and greed, that I think the overall message is going to be is that whilst we love the sentiment, humanity's innate propensity to be selfish is what's going to lead to conflict and division, and violence will never come to a stop because people are unwilling to take the hard route. They're unwilling to sit down and accept those that are different because they see them as something to be feared. And I think we're seeing the steps that they're taking, we're seeing the perspective shift, but whether Isayama will leave us with a peaceful resolution, I don't think so. I think this is meant to be a critique on humanity as a whole, on the world as a whole, that we can say never again, we can try to end oppression and hatred, but inevitably humans will always fall back into that cycle if we refuse to learn from the mistakes of the past. If we continue to repeat the same steps, we're always doomed to fail. And I wonder if we're going to see that cycle repeat as a way of him showing that we need to be better, that we need to ensure that we actually give strength to our words and our actions rather than just saying it, that we actually mean it too. I don't think it will be futuristic if he ends that way or depressing. I think it's more meant to be a critique on the world in general, potentially a critique that we as the viewers are meant to take away, that they couldn't have truly meant it if humans fall back into the same cycle, because people will always find a way to fight one another, but humans are not beyond change. They are not beyond learning. We've seen that. We've seen people change their perspectives. We've seen them take steps to heal and to grow and to help and aid others. But we also know that hatred is a vicious cycle, and the justification for finding reasons to hate someone is far easier than sitting down and talking and accepting someone's differences and seeing them as a person like yourself. It's harder to do that. So I think if he ends showing the cycle repeating, it could just be a critique on society in general, that we're needing to do better than what we have done, that we need to actually mean what we say. When we say never again, we mean never again, not never again for right now. And then when it suits us, commit the same atrocities. It means never again for anybody. Doesn't matter where they come from or who they are. And I think potentially if we see the cycle happen, that's what he's attempting to show. It's not that humans are always destined to fight one another, violence is always going to happen, it's always inevitable, but more just how easy it is for people to fall back into the cycles that they are used to, that it's much harder to break away from the past, to break away from the history that you've always known, to break away from the history of violence. It's harder to be the change you want to see in the world, and that perhaps in showing the cycle, it's a message to the viewers that we have to be better than what we're seeing, that we have to take something away from this and be the change that we want to see in the world rather than just following in the same steps. But we'll see when we come to the end. But knowing Isayama, I think his ending will have a poetic meaning. I think it won't be this happy, peaceful resolution. I think he's going to show the cycle repeat. And again, I think it's meant to be a deeper critique for us to take away symbolically rather than just saying, oh, humans never change, because we know that that's not true. We know that humans do change. We know that the cycles can be broken, but we also know that it's incredibly hard to do so. And if people aren't willing to put in the work and put in the effort and try, then that's not going to change anything. And then that's when you end up with people citing history as a justification for violence. I think it could be poetic in terms of saying, words are good, but unless there's actions behind them, they're just words. There's no meaning to it. I think it's supposed to be for us to realize that we need to be different. We need to stop looking at the past as the answer, as the justification for hatred and violence, but look to the future and the potentiality and the next generation, teaching them how to love and be different and accepting of others, in the hope that they don't get lost in the forest, that they don't repeat the mistakes of the adults, that they don't do what came before, that they are the difference that we want to see in the world. The next generation are the hope and the future of the world. And if we fail to raise them correctly, they go on to repeat the same mistakes, which we see with Reiner and his mom, but also a lot of the children in the show are children replicating generational hatred and trauma. So we're seeing that play out, and that's why the adults have to be different. It's why they have to make a stand against Eren and to show that this isn't okay and that the world is unified against it. And that in the time of need, humanity came together against a single enemy, Eren. And I've said this for a while. Eren was going to be the enemy that humanity could unite themselves against, but he's doing this with the ulterior motive of sacrificing himself so his friends can live a long life of peace or relative peace, that they can be free, because he knows that his drive for freedom will lead in suffering and destruction. And the only way to stop himself being a slave is to sacrifice himself, to make his friends turn on him and kill him. That's the only way this is ever going to end. And he knows that it's the only way his suffering is going to end. And it's so tragic because it's the perfect metaphor of being an anti-hero. It really is. If that's what he's doing, amazing anti-hero journey. But I've said for a while that that's what I thought Eren was doing. So seeing others come to that perspective in the finale is like, wow, I called that very early in series 4, that I felt like Eren was turning them all against him for sacrificial reasons, for him to bring humanity together against a common enemy and therefore uniting them and bringing paradise into the world itself and opening paradise up to the world. But we will see as the show continues. But thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed filming it. And until then, bye.